I don't know who any of these people are in this Mae Young Classic.
All right.
Is
I
this the
really
first
don't.
episode you've watched?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I have no idea.
Gotcha. It's even better then. I think that's even better because now you have a different perspective than the rest of us who've been introduced.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
I haven't been home when any of this has been on the network, and keep forgetting to watch it. And
Mhm.
so, and then I've always felt bad. I'm like, whenever you guys wanted me to broadcast, I'm like, yep, gotta work, got a game. So I just never got a chance to go back and watch it. So I started watching the episode we are going to talk about today, and I'm still watching it. So I'm at the end where there was like a Japanese girl or a Chinese girl, and the
The
girl
last
kind of,
the last match.
yeah, where they're like
She's
crying in the
Japanese.
ring,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was a good match. So yeah, Miko Satomura, yeah,
Hmm.
that was a good match.
She's
But
amazing.
yeah, she's really good. Oh, she's Japanese. Yeah, that was good. Good
All right.
match. Still have no idea who half these people are, but it was a good match.
All right. Officially starting in three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the Forever Young Cast. I'm your host, Don Delarente, and I'm joined once again by Miss Jupiter Julep.
Hello.
Hola, Miss. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And you guys?
I'm good. Glad for you to be joining me once again on the Forever Young Cast.
Indeed.
We're joined by our co-host, Miss Madame Lizette. How you doing, Miss Madame Lizette?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
We're excellent. And we're all joined by a very special guest at West Sleep Though, Miss V. How you doing, Miss V?
I'm good. I would have been better until my friend just told me I have to go into work tomorrow. So now I'm kind of upset. I thought I had Columbus Day off, and I don't. Oh boy,
Boo.
boo! They tack it on to the Christmas holiday. That's some BS. I'm upset, but happy to be here. So yay!
Happy to have you.
Most
Thanks, guys.
definitely.
Thank you for joining us here on the Forever Young Cast. You can find the Forever Young Cast on the web at cspn.us. So, ladies, we're embarking on to the second round of this year's Mae Young Classic. So it's been a very fun and interesting tournament so far. So now we're going to see who's going to be the first 4 contestants to advance to the quarterfinals. First up, we have Toni Storm versus Hiroyo Matsumoto. Matsumoto hits the rock drop 4-2. Toni cradles Matsumoto 4-2 count of her own. Matsumoto hits a clothesline, and that gets a near fall. Matsumoto then hits 2 more clotheslines, and she hangs on and looks for a third. And that's when Toni Storm counters into a bridging cradle, and Toni Storm gets the win. So, Miss Madame Lizette, I'll let you start off this week with your analysis of Toni Storm's victory as she moves on to the quarterfinals.
So, Don, I hate to not be so nice to your girl, but I really did not like her in this match. I thought that she was like really forgettable. I feel like Matsumoto put on a show and Toni was just kind of a part of it. I don't know. It just for someone who this is her second year in the Mae Young Classic, and for the person who's probably going to be like the premier female wrestler for the UK brand for NXT, I expect more out of her, and I'm just not getting that in these matches. And this was one of those matches where I was like, "Oh, you could have lost, and I'd have been perfectly okay with that." Because I just feel like Matsumoto put on a better show. She out wrestled her through most of the match, and Toni just kind of got by and made it at the end and got the pin, and it was worth it. But it was just like, oh, I don't know. She just she wasn't doing it for me. So that's how I felt about the match. I feel like Matsumoto was amazing, and I really want to see more of her. And I like, her strong style. I like her being, the destroyer and everything. I think that her character is great. I think she wrestled a really good match. I think Toni was forgettable and Toni got the win. And I think that's just because she is the one who is signed to WWE, and she is the one who's going to be the, WWE UK brand for NXT and everything. So that's how I feel about that whole thing.
All right.
Agreed.
Miss V, I'm going to bring you in and get your analysis. I know this is your first time watching Matsumoto wrestle. I know you're familiar with Tony Storm for last year. So, what was your impressions on the loser, Miss Matsumoto?
I was more excited to see her than to see Storm. She just has more charisma, and I just feel like it's Tony Storm. I just feel like she was boring, and she's extremely bland. And like, if I wouldn't have, if just coming in blind, I would have never guessed that that was the route WWE was going to go with, making them the face of, a brand in the UK, because she's just kind of there. Whereas like Matsumoto, when she came out, I mean, she kind of has an Asuka vibe, but like even with the way her gear looks, but she has more charisma, and she was more entertaining to watch. And I think she wrestled a better match. Like I'd pay to see her more so than I would pay to go see, Tony Storm. I just feel like she had more to offer, and I enjoyed her more. And I'll be honest, I started the match, and then I was bored by Storm, so I fast forwarded through it a little bit because I was like, this is what they're leading off with. Okay. I was like, one girl's killing and the other girl's just kind of there. So I was like, let me just fast forward. And then I fast forwarded too far, and I saw that she won, and I was like, wait a second, let me go back, because this is not where I thought this was going to go. But I guess knowing that, one is signed to the company and the other one isn't, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I feel like they got that one backwards, and there should be, I feel like Matsumoto was the better one in that match.
All right, Miss Jupiter Julep, I'll bring you in and let you get the final word on our opening match between Tony Storm and Hiro Matsumoto.
You know I love this, right? Because I know Tony Storm is your girl, and I warned you that when Miss V joined Madame Lizette and I, that we would form our own brand of the Shield, and we just are about to Voltron like the Hounds of Justice on Tony Storm. So, I mean, there's a few things I want to say. The first thing is that for you, Miss V, if you have an opportunity to go back and take a look at Jenny Couture, Miss Jenny, she is the person I think they should be building the NXT brand around.
Yeah.
Much stronger character, much stronger personality. By the way, she calls herself Jenny Couture because she has fantastic ring gear. She was giving me something that Tony Storm is lacking. I will also say, I mean, all of the notes that I wrote down were about Hiro Matsumoto. Now, I mean, the first thing I thought was like, okay, she is Lady Godzilla, and why isn't her music more like Samoa Joe?
Yo, you said that last week on the episode, and so this week I kind of paid attention to what the music was going with. Yeah, and I was like, wow, Jupiter Julep was right. This music is awful.
What is this? And, and she's like, yo, I'm here to support you. And and she speaks very severely, and I thought, oh, she should totally read Tony Storm a bedtime story, like, yes, I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to destroy your legacy, all of those things that Samoa Joe did to AJ Styles. I just thought, why isn't she doesn't have an opportunity to do this? And I loved her red coat. I wrote down that the Miz is jealous of her coat. And finally, kind of circling back to what you said, Madame Lizette, I wrote down that Tony Storm didn't beat Matsumoto. Matsumoto beat Matsumoto because she got distracted. Yeah. She was beating her up in the last sequences, and then she was like, oh shucks, and she was feeling herself for a minute, and then Tony Storm was able to pull out a victory. And then of course she had that very shocked look on her face. It was a well-scouted match because they did say in the opening segment that they had wrestled each other over the world.
Right.
All over the world. So they were familiar with each other's style. But at the end, I would, if we're going to go with the storyline or the storytelling they told in the ring, Tony Storm could not beat her on anything else but her smarts and opportunity.
Right. I agree with that.
I would agree with that. And her music is trash, by the way. I agree.
Right. And something else to add on to that, Jupiter Julep, like the fact that they've wrestled each other before, I expected them to like, it to be more even playing field, and that's just not what we got out of that. Like, it really looked like Matsumoto was running circles around Tony, and Tony just found her opening and took it.
Yeah.
And that, I'm just like, girl, you can't be out here, trying to be champion eventually, and starting this whole brand because Michael Cole kept saying that like she signs her UK brand, and she's there, she's gonna be great on the UK brand, all of that. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, y'all trying to put this over, but I'm not looking forward to seeing her on the UK brand. There are about 4 or 5 other girls that have right in front of me at this point that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see her on the UK brand.
Right. Blonde is not enough.
Yeah. Blonde and skinny is not enough. And I because Michael Cole kept saying that, and I was like, okay, she's the face of the UK brand, but why do I care about Matsumoto more? Like, I don't care about this girl. Like, she is providing me nothing that's making me want to watch her. I'm like, her ring gear is like, I'm like, she's supposed to be the face of your company, and she has basic bitch like ring gear. Like, there's nothing exciting about it.
Wait. Can I ask you? I'm sorry. Can I ask you a question about her ring gear, Miss V?
Yeah.
If I told you that she's supposed to be the rock star, what would you respond to that, seeing her ring gear?
I don't know. I don't get that at all. Like, okay, so because she has half black, half white, and a red heart on her, was that a heart on the back of her pants? Or her
I don't know. I didn't look at her boobs.
Yeah, I wouldn't get rock star from that at all. Like, there was nothing. Alexa Bliss has more of a rock star, if you're gonna go with that look, than Toni Storm does. Like, I don't get that at all. Like, there's no rock about it. Is that what she's supposed to be?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't really do a very good job with that, because I'm shocked by that. I would never guess that that's what her gimmick was at all. Like, and I'm not saying she has to be like the Ripley girl from the next match who was like super hardcore rock chick, but like there's nothing rock star about her. Like, she doesn't even like, and there's more than one type of rock chick there can be. Like, there can be that hardcore goth rock girl like Paige and Ruby Riott or whatnot. Like, yeah, you can go to that end. You can be like the Ripley girl from the next match who is like in leather and like has like the really hardcore music.
That's metal.
Yeah, that's metal. But then there's also like Gwen Stefani or somebody like, that's another type of rock chick. She didn't even like go there. Like, she's nowhere. Like, she looks like a cheerleader who's trying to be hardcore.
She looks like a rugby player.
Yeah, like there's nothing rock about her at all. I would have never guessed that.
And hair metal, because it's supposed to be Motley Crue.
Nope. Okay, she's supposed to be Motley Crue. How the hell does Dolph Ziggler pull that off better than she does? And she's supposed to be like, but seriously, like, if that's what the look that she was going for, her gear should have been Dolph Ziggler, the female version. Like, it should have been exactly what he's been trying to do.
Wait, Dolph Ziggler has women's clothes. Like, she could just take Dolph Ziggler's
She
clothes.
literally could just take his gear.
Yeah.
Especially like when he used to wear the white shorts back at, like, she literally could just do a rehash of his gear, and that would make more sense than what she had on. And I don't know why, but the entire time that I was I kept thinking Alice in Wonderland. I was not thinking rock, and I don't know if it's because like the black and white and like the heart that I thought was on the back of her shorts. I kept thinking Alice in Wonderland. I would have never guessed rock. Never would have guessed that.
Well, I kind of like the Queen of Hearts idea. We should go for that.
That's better.
That's a lot better.
Yeah.
I think Natalia would have some gimmick infringement reporting
Probably,
to go on that.
But
but it's a different kind of heart, though. Like, you gotta spell it different and stuff.
It's H-E-A-R-T, not H-A-R-T.
Right. Well, Dawn, there was that.
Yeah. So we don't like your girl there, Dawn. So.
I mean, Dawn.
Yeah.
You want to defend her?
I thought that Toni Storm had some really slick wrestling in the beginning of that match when they started off and they were kind of filling each other out. She was doing some really strong mat wrestling and some, counters and things like that. Yes, Matsumoto did have the flashier moves and the stronger, effective moves, but I thought that for the story that they told, that Toni Storm did what she was supposed to do. She took a beating and still persevered and found an opening and got a win. So
Okay.
one positive point for Toni Storm. Before we move on to Rhea Ripley versus Kacy Catanzaro. Kacy hits a tornillo plancha on the outside, and back in the ring, Kacy hits drop kicks, clothesline, and then she slips on a springboard missile drop kick attempt. Kacy fights through that, and eventually she does hit the springboard missile drop kick, and then a splash for a 2 count. Rhea cuts Kacy off and finishes her with the Riptide Powerbomb. So Rhea Ripley continues her march in this year's Mae Young Classic. She's moving on to the second round. So Miss Jupiter Julep, I'll let you start this round of conversations. I thought that Kacy Catanzaro showed out and had an excellent performance in the loss, but I know that you're a really big fan of Rhea Ripley. So in your estimation, how did she perform in this particular match?
I thought that she showed that she's a ring general. I think that during the commentary, they made it very clear to remind us that Kacy Catanzaro, I think that's how you pronounce the name, is very new to wrestling. And I like that even though Kacy had that slip, Rhea Ripley came over and kind of like hit her a little bit so that she took advantage of it, but allowed her to get her momentum back so that Kacy can go back on a rope and do the spot. So it wasn't like, oh, shoot, what do I do at all? And I think that speaks to her development from last year, where I do believe she forgot to kick out, or at least that's what the rumor was. Other than that, like Miss V said, I do continue to like her look. I think that she's one of the ones where she had a character, a look, and music that matched. So she was a total package. I also thought that did Rhea Ripley if it looks better than most of the competitors. All right. And they also said that Rhea Ripley and Rena, whom Kacy beat to meet Rhea Ripley in round 2, are best friends, and that allegedly they had a conversation going to see how Mighty Mouse could be beaten. I will say this about Kacy. She had a lot of energy because she is so compact. She did a lot of flippy, I think the vets call it flippy shit, and a lot of movement that to make up the space. And it can be distracting at times because, like, what is she doing? But I also think that it gives her space to be innovative in the future. So I did enjoy the match. I do believe that it was the right decision for Ripley to go over. I do think that Ripley will probably lose in the next round. I don't think she's going to make it to the final 4. But happy to see her development and to see more. And also, I thought Kacy did a good job. And if she really is invested in wrestling, I think that in a year or two, she's going to put together a program that's going to be for the books.
All right, Madam Lizette, we'll bring you in for your analysis on Kacy Catanzaro versus Rhea Ripley.
So I thought that Kacy did a good job, and Rhea did a really good job of putting Kacy over. Kind of in the same vein of what Jupiter said, Rhea is becoming a ring general, so she was helping and guiding Kacy along. Like, even with the botch, she let Kacy get back up there and do it again so they could still have that spot. And I feel like that's really important. And I also give Kacy credit for the fact that, like, she had the botch on the ropes and still was like, I'm gonna do this. She didn't get deflated. Her energy still stayed up. She kept going, and she hit the move beautifully even in that way. So I thought the match was really good. I felt like Kacy did what she was supposed to do as far as, like, being the smaller flyer type character. She really showed off, like, her gymnastic moves and things like that on the ropes, which I thought was really cool. And just kind of letting Rhea guide her throughout the ring. And then Rhea being that heel, and even she wouldn't shake her hand at the beginning of the match. She shaked her hand at the end of the match and still told her to get out in the ring. Like, she was like, I'm going to give you your props, but you need to go, because this is my time. This is my moment. So she was still healing it up, and I really appreciate that. Rhea at this point is probably my favorite of the younger competitors who've only been wrestling, for a couple of years. She's a lot better and a lot more confident than she was last year. And her just the look on her face, the things that she says in the ring, her body language, she's all in. And she's invested in her character and invested in being who she's going to be. So I thought that they did a good job. I thought the match was good. I enjoyed it. And if Casey is going to continue to wrestle, I kind of want to see more of her. She's just so compact. I don't know how they're going to continue to work that in. But the fact that they put her up against bigger girls for her first 2 rounds lets me know that like WWE is not going to keep her in these small packages where she's going to just continue to wrestle people like a Bayley or a Sasha who are a little bit taller than her, but not so much.
All right, Miss V, we'll bring you in for your analysis. Rhea Ripley versus Casey Catanzaro. I know this is your first time watching Casey Catanzaro perform. What were some of your impressions of her?
So I enjoyed the match. I think Rita is probably from this episode. She's probably one of my favorites from the entire episode. And like the other girls were saying, you can definitely tell that she kind of took control of this match, and she made sure that they hit all the spots that they needed to hit. One of the things that I am a little bit concerned with Casey is that it's great that she does all this high flying flips and stuff, but her moves land so soft that they don't look like they're doing any kind of damage to anybody. Like even like when she gets up and is doing all the stuff on the ropes and she's like flipping people across the ring, you can totally tell that Rita is throwing herself across the ring. Like it just doesn't come across it doesn't come across like she's doing any damage. So I would like to see her wrestle somebody closer to her size to see if these moves actually look better with somebody that's smaller and the same size as her. And then maybe eventually when she gets better and she has some more experience and she's able to people are able to understand what she's doing and sell her moves a little bit better. It might be more entertaining to watch her, but she's doing stuff that nobody else is doing. Like there's no other girls in the ring right now who are doing some of those moves. Like I've never seen some of that stuff from some of the female competitors before. So so that's exciting to see. I do hope also her ring gear is really, really, really not good. So I hope that and neither is her music. They gave her really like Build-A-Player ring gear and music. So I hope that they do something more with that. But I did enjoy the match and I enjoy what she's doing. I enjoyed what Rita did. Rita's really entertaining. So I kind of hope I'll be excited to see how far she goes in this match. Is she signed with WWE or no?
Yeah, she's at the Performance Center. She's been there. This will be a year that she's been with WWE.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll have to pay attention to her a little bit more. But yeah, I really enjoyed her, and I thought she was really good. And like you were saying, she has the whole package. Like her music actually matches what she looks like. Her gear actually works for her. Even the package that she did before, like the promo package she did before. I was like, she's gonna be a badass just based on that. I'm like, I know it's all gonna work for her, and it did. So, so I was happy to see that. I do. Casey has a little bit of she's like a cheerleader, so they're gonna have to. I don't know what her character is going to be. Like, is she always going to be just that happy-go-lucky like cheerleader that does gymnastic moves, or is there more to her? So I don't know how long this will be able to last for her unless they figure out something more to add to her gimmick.
She smells of heel to me.
She'd be a great
Casey?
heel.
Yes.
I think Casey just needs some muscle. Like I think that if they paired her with Rhea and Raina, I think that would be like that would work.
Yeah.
You think
for like
so?
a faction. Yeah, because she's the little smaller character. She's kind of like the Dolph Ziggler situation between Braun and them. Like she's a smaller, littler package with the mouth. She could be the Chihuahua, and she has the 2 big brutes who could beat up people for her.
Yeah. And then she can, when they're on the floor of the mat, she can hop up there and do a little spin or something, and have her moment and stuff. But I don't know. Can she talk though? Because I've never heard her speak before, so I don't know if she has that side of her. That's what Dolph has gotten better at it, but and he actually is a really good wrestler. As much as he drives me crazy sometimes, he's one of the best wrestlers in the WWE right now. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see where she goes because she definitely has to do something more than be a cheerleader who likes to wrestle. Like, there's got to be more to it. So
I also think that she can't be Alexa Bliss 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
And Alexa is a heel, and Alexa has, she could, I think because of the skills that she actually has, she's gonna be a better wrestler than Alexa is. That's not gonna take a lot to do that, because Alexa's not great, but she is gonna be a better wrestler than Alexa. So I just think she needs some more time in NXT, and I think she needs to put on a little bit more muscle and figure out a way to sell her moves so they actually have some kind of umph behind them, because right now it looks like they're just doing choreography, which is what wrestling is, but at least it looks real, and her stuff doesn't look real yet. So
yeah, that was my biggest issue with the Around the World DDT, because like Michael Cole and all of them praised Casey for it, and I was like, if that this is all Rhea, right? Like, I know what you're trying to do, but as a fan who's watching it, Rhea is the one who's taking her around the world. She's not taking Rhea around the world.
Yeah.
No, and she like a squirrel going around a tree.
Look, I did like the comparison between Rhea and Beth. I thought that was good, because for the longest they've been doing the comparison between her and Charlotte, and I was like,
I don't see that.
They're tall, but the way that they did the comparison between Rhea and Beth was the strength, the power, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. And Beth was like, yeah, I do see some of her in me, or some of me in her, because of like her ability, her power, and how strong she is. And I was like, that makes a little bit more sense than she's blonde and tall, so she looks like Charlotte. Like, that works a lot better.
There's nothing. Okay, speaking of Beth, how do you guys feel about her on commentary?
I like her, at least with those two. I like the three of them together.
I had a note about them on commentary I was going to say for the last match, but I'll talk a little bit about it now. And it was the fact that I am appreciating the fact that Cole is shutting up and letting Beth and Renee talk. And be fully invested. And so Cole is there calling the action, and then you have Renee essentially saying, all right, in this situation, what would you do, Beth? And then Beth giving, something, say, I would do this, or I don't know what to do, or, oh, that you do that, what she just did. And Beth also seems to me very much like a mom-like person, saying, I'm invested in this. I love what I'm seeing. And it's kind of what I want to hear from someone on a team.
Yeah, and Renee gets to be the fan. Right. Renee gets to be us, just with a microphone.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. So, like, the dynamics between the three of them, for me, really works. And Beth being the motherly, I guess you could say, like, the matriarch of the women's revolution in a form. Like, her kind of being that person and being so proud of them and watching them and just saying like, well, this is what I would have done, but I kind of like what she did here. I'm not sure what she did. I like the three of them together. This is probably the only time I'm going to ever like Michael Cole. So like, I'm going to give him his props.
Yeah. And I also appreciate the fact that Beth is saying, look, these women are working hard, that I know some of the struggles that they have encountered, whether it's because I wrestled them in the past or I've seen them wrestle, or just because they are women in wrestling and what they do around the world. So I just appreciate the fact that she gives them their accreditation in a way that no one else could give them.
I agree.
All right. Next matchup, Lacey Lane versus Tanara Conti. Tanara Conti attacks with kicks to the arms and rolls into a mounted cover for a 2 count. Lacey Lane battles back, pulling the hair, and then she hits a clothesline. Lacey Lane follows with strikes into a flatliner for a near fall. Tanara Conti cuts her off with knee strikes, but Lacey Lane hits the crucifix bomb, and Lacey Lane continues her Cinderella run through the Mae Young Classic into the quarterfinals. So I'm going to start with Miss V for this one. Lacey Lane and Tanara Conti. I'm not sure if you've seen Tanara Conti on NXT before, but Lacey Lane is definitely a rookie, a newcomer. She's only been wrestling for a few months. She's signed. She's a part of the Performance Center. So your initial thoughts on seeing Lacey Lane get the victory over Tanara Conti?
Lacey Lane is super dope. I like Lacey Lane a lot. I didn't know that she hasn't been wrestling very long, so that's really cool to see. But she has like a vibe about her that's really really dope, and I like her a lot. I was surprised that this match was like the shortest one of the show. I probably would have liked to see this one actually go longer than the Rhea Ripley and the Casey match. At least that's what it seems like. Just kind of like watching the match or watching the show really quickly. But I thought the two girls had really really great chemistry together, and I would have liked to see it go a little bit longer than what it did. And yeah, overall, I just thought it was a really dope match. I don't really have too much to say about it, but I think both girls were actually really really cool and really really good and entertaining to watch. So. But Lacey Lane, I'm excited to see where she goes because I think if she gets some more time under her belt, she could be really something special. So I liked her.
Miss Jupiter Julep, your analysis and thoughts on Miss Lacey Lane continuing her journey in the Mae Young Classic.
Okay, so the first thing that I noticed in this match and also the pre-match interview is that they started talking about that. Yes, she's a hometown girl. Yes, she was trained by the Dudleys, but also that that she has the abilities to succeed and stayed away from I'm a tragic mulatto. So I appreciated them moving away from that and really talking about her abilities that she has going forward. I was glad to see that they put Lacey Lane and Casey Cazzaro back to back, because I think in one of the previous episodes, I said that I thought that they would make an interesting tag team because they are both compact and have lots of energy and are both high flyers. Or, well, I'm not entirely certain what Casey's like final style will develop into. But it was interesting for me to see them back to back to kind of compare them and also see how they would complement each other. And I still think that they would do very interestingly together. In terms of Taynara Conti, I could not watch this match without hearing a Madame Lizette in my ear going, look at her face, look at her face, look at her face. Because the face acting was extreme. And, I thought, okay, she has been watching Foxy. And if this wrestling thing don't work out, she could go on to telenovela, because I was so distracted by her face. I just couldn't move past it because and all I heard was you, Madame Lizette. Look. So also in terms their entrances kind of bothered me. I want Lacey Lane to have a better entrance than she has. And then because I just kept getting that Ember Moon 2.0 vibe. And I want her to differentiate herself a little bit because you have the color contacts, you have the braids, then you have the entrance, the way that it is. And I want WWE to invest in the uniqueness that each of them bring instead of doing a carbon copy. And as far as Taynara Conti, that local rapper they have that I Live to Succeed, it was just really distracting. So for someone else is invested with the WWE, I want them to then do something better. Now her ring gear I thought was fine, like Ode to Brazil and everything. Yeah, like, that was fine. But that music, no. Yeah. And the match itself, I was glad it was short. Conchi, the last round, she also had a short match. So, and I wrote like, oh, she didn't play with her food. So she just ended it. So I was glad it was short. It kind of worked out because also, since this was the third match, I wanted to get to the fourth match. Like, yeah, give me what I came for. So all in all, it was fine, but, nothing that I would watch again.
Do you think that she would make a better tag partner with Ember Moon?
Lacey Lane?
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, but you know how I don't want to give them a WWE and some of the fans an excuse to treat us all in the same boat, in the same vein. Like, we all look alike. Where they, how they do the Usos. they're like, Uso this. They can't say which one's Jimmy and which one's Jay. And I don't want that. So I could see it perhaps because, again, both compact, both high flyers. But Ember Moon having more experience, I don't know. I want them to differentiate.
Yeah.
All right, Madam Lizette, we'll give you the hot tag and you'll get the final word on Lacey Lane and Tanara Conti.
So I made a note that the match was really quick. I think it was like 5 minutes. I could be wrong about that. I wanted Tanara to win, just because this is her second year in the Mae Young Classic, and there has been improvement there. But I understand that WWE is on this mode, at least right now, to kind of push Lacey because she is the homegrown, hometown talent. And I ignored the faces, Jupiter, this time. I actually just was like, we're not going to pay any attention to the faces. We're going to enjoy the match. And I did a very good job, by the way, making sure. I like that Tanara is like so aggressive. And like when she's kicking her in the leg or kicking her in the arm and like throwing her around, I appreciate all of that. And you can tell the whole point was, okay, if Lacey can't physically beat you because you have the power, because you are the black belt, she's going to overpower you with the speed. And I think that's why the match was so fast. So it's just, if I come at you with everything really quickly, you're not going to be able to keep up. I'm going to find my opening and I'm going to take it. And that's kind of what happened. So I thought the match was good for what it was. I agree with you guys. I think that Lacey needs something different with her entrance. I think she just needs something different with her character in general. Mm-hmm. Because it is very like, okay, so you must be an alternative black girl. We're gonna make you look like Ember. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, she can be like we said earlier, there are different types of rock and different types of, like, you can be gothic, you can be metal, there's different ways. The same thing kind of goes with the alternative black girl. She can be out here in different ways, so allow her to express herself in that way. And WWE hasn't really figured that out, so I want more from Lacey, because as of right now, she doesn't really have a character. She just kind of has a cape. So if we can give her something and give her a little bit more, so she doesn't go out there and people are like, that's Ember Moon, right? And it's like, no, that's not Ember, that's somebody else.
Right.
I think she needs a new name too. I don't think Lacey Lane, like, for what her gimmick is supposed to be, there's nothing, like, it doesn't match. Is that her real name?
I don't know. And that kind of, I feel the same way with you about that, because whenever they say Lacey Lane, I think of Lacey Evans, who was on NXT, who was very 1920s. We Can Do It. And those are two different characters. Mm-hmm. And so she probably does need a name change. She needs a character change. She just needs to develop right now, because right, and then you come out in like the somewhat basketball gear to kind of pay ode to the fact that you used to be a basketball player. Mm-hmm. None of it ties in together.
It's just like a mishmash of stuff.
Right, you're just kind of piled in together. And then I was wondering the same thing, like, okay, are we gonna keep the dreads? Are we gonna get rid of them? Yeah. How are we gonna do this? Because those are individually done. I know that they're not real because you have all this different color and stuff going on. So are we going to keep that and just keep rocking with it? Or are you going to switch it up and do something else? And if that's the case, then your character is going to have to kind of evolve as you evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'll get clearer for her when she figures out who she is. I know she's really young, and Miss V, you didn't see it before. Her opening package and how she was introduced to us was, yes, I was a basketball player and I led my team to victory, but also I'm biracial and I was bullied.
Oh, Lord.
That's why Jupiter calls her the tragic mulatto.
Yeah. So for this, that was pretty much her character. So it was like, well, girl, what? And then moving on, they didn't mention it as much. It was like, all right, I'm here. I want to continue on in this competition, which was stronger. But to me, she doesn't really have a character.
She has zero character, and you can't use, I was bullied because I was half black and half white. Like,
I don't think that's it.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. That I'm glad I didn't know that. Like, because if I would have known that, that would have changed every way that I saw her. Because to me, I'm like she. Okay, I don't even know how to like verbalize that. That to me is just like I'm glad I did not see that, and I'm glad they've kind of gone away from it a little bit. And I hope that's not what they, when they eventually kind of start to really get her a character, that they don't lean on that, because they can't like you can't come in you can't lean on that, especially when you have women who look like Naomi in the WWE, who's been one of the best wrestlers that they've got, who really hasn't gotten who's only gotten a chance maybe one time to do something in this company and stuff. And then you've got to me that just, I hope that's not what they do with her. I really hope not.
I hope not either. And also I want to point out a counterpoint of MJ Jenkins, Miss Afrolicious, who came out to like a Beyonce song, like Fox and Cleopatra, and I'm a whole lot of woman, and look at my fro. So, I mean, to kind of see that dichotomy, Lacey Lane just has to figure out who she is. And I think that'll probably come from just age, growth, maturity, and also some investment. Yeah. Dudley Boys, WWE.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't realize what she had on was a cape. It didn't work for Neville. It's not going to work for her.
Capes are not like, the cape didn't work for Neville. I mean, I guess you can kind of say that Ember Moon has a cape. I guess that's a cape, but it's a hooded cape, I guess, or I don't know. But yeah, capes, capes are not going to work, and she definitely has to come up with something more. I think what would help is WWE really has to get some people of color working behind the scenes, because there's these people, they don't know what to do with women or men of color in this company when it comes to creating characters for them. So that's why I'm glad people like Naomi figured it out and did her own thing. Like, it took her years to get to where she is. I don't know if some of these girls have years to wait to find a character before it fits for them. I just don't know if they have that long to wait. So I hope that they can figure something out for her sooner rather than later, instead of having her kind of drift around as the tragic mulatto, as you say. I hope that's not what they do for her. So we'll see. We will see.
The Forever Young cast can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and Google Play. So now, ladies, it's time to talk about our main event of the evening. Meiko Satomura faces off against Mercedes Martinez. Satomura counters the Fisherman Buster with a knee strike and a DDT. Satomura spikes Martinez with another DDT, followed by cartwheel knees, and that gets 2 count. Satomura looks for a Death Valley driver, but it gets countered, and Martinez hits a running kick and the Fisherman's Buster for a great near fall. Martinez lays the boots to Satomura. She looks for Romero's special, but Satomura elbows out of it, and she hits a spin kick. Satomura follows up with the scorpion kick, and Meiko Satomura gets the win over Mercedes Martinez. So, Madam Lizette, I know that last week this was the match, that you were looking forward to the most when we previewed this week's episode. So, did they live up to your expectations in this main event?
They totally did. I watched this match twice, and both times I was speechless. I was just like, this is everything I wanted this to be and more. I think that both of those ladies did a very good job. Like, we got 2 veterans in the ring, 2 ring generals, 2 people that Beth are just like, yo, that we have, so like, she has mutual respect for both of them, and they put on a show. The crowd was on their feet basically the whole match, and it was really nice to see Meiko get angry, like, and show that emotion, because she's very calm and cool when she's out there wrestling, even though she's aggressive. But it was really good for Meiko, like, to work up and be like, no, I have to beat you, and I'm going to beat you. And then Mercedes just not giving up, not giving in. 3rd time's a charm with the Fisherman Buster, and finally getting it. And then, Meiko kicking out, and then Meiko hitting her with the spin kick and the scorpion kick back to back after she had already DDT'd her twice. Like, that just let me know that they both kind of figured out what worked on those other girls is not going to work on you. And we have, like, I have to give you more and you're going to have to give me more. And they pulled a lot out of each other. And so I really, really enjoyed the match. It, like I said last week, a lot of Mercedes matches are slow and you're just kind of like watching them kind of go through it. This match felt like it was the right pace and the right tempo, the right spacing, and they weren't walking each other to their fit, their moves. They were going at it. I enjoyed it. The strikes, the kicks, everything. Thank you, ladies. It was wonderful for me.
All right. Miss V, we'll let you share your thoughts on Mercedes Martinez and Meiko Satomura. Did you get a chance to see Mercedes' performance last year in last year's tournament?
I didn't. So this is actually the first time that I've seen both of these girls wrestle. But so yeah, so I guess I came in on a good match to see them wrestle.
Yes.
So this was an amazing match. Like, I honestly think that they need to have them wrestle again at Evolution. Because they have there's no one else on the card right now that is gonna put something on like this. So maybe. I would say, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I think these two girls put on it was an amazing match. It was the one match I think the entire night where the entire crowd was into it. I actually watched it on mute at first, the first time around. And there was a close pinfall where Mercedes actually had Meiko, or so we thought. And I watching it on mute, like the reaction of the crowd, you would think the match was actually over because they were all standing up and they were cheering and they were so into it. And so once I realized that she didn't win, I was like, oh, okay. And that's the only match that was like that, on this episode. And they both can go. Like, they both are extremely, extremely good wrestlers. I don't like it's rare. It's like when you find women or even wrestlers in general that can just go, they don't need to have a gimmick. Like they just, you're excited to see them and they're going to put on a good show. And they don't need to have the extras. And I think those two women are kind of like that. Like, they can just go out there and, Meiko can be, she's got her thing, but like, I would just enjoy watching her wrestle. I don't need to have any extras or anything with her. So, I really enjoyed it. I did watch it. I watched it twice too. And it was like the best match of the night. And it might be one of the best matches of the entire tournament. So It was really good.
Miss Jupiter Julep, we'll tag you in your analysis on this match. I know that you're a big fan of Meiko, but you're also a really big fan of Mercedes. So I know this one was a tough one when it came to your rooting interest. But your thoughts and your notes that you had on this particular match.
Oh, yeah, it was tough. However, I said it in, I think, maybe episode 1 or 2 that I thought that the finals was going to come down to Meiko and Io. So I knew that at some point I was going to lose Mercedes, but I wanted a good match, and that's what they gave me. I think that we started off with the commentators giving us a great framework, with Cole saying that this was an honor for him to call Meiko Satomura's match. And then you had Beth say, you're going to have to excuse me because nobody deserves this like Mercedes Martinez deserves it. And that was like the opening segment. And then they come out. I happen to love the reggaeton Mercedes Martinez theme, so I always dance along with it. And every time I see Meiko Satomura, the only word that comes to mind is grace. Like, even her interviews are graceful. I will say that this is the definition of strong style because they went for it. There was a really great sequence with Meiko having an armbar on Mercedes Martinez that around the ring, and that was finally ended with Martinez being the ring veteran that she is, getting her foot in the rope and taking advantage of her longer limbs. I love the scorpion kick. Like when you said, Miss V, that when you had it on mute and you thought the crowd's reaction where you thought the match was over, there's a cute sign that said that was 3. I hadn't seen all tournament, but somebody put it up at that point. I'm like, oh, good point. I really wish that this match was for the quarterfinals. I do think it came a little earlier in the overall tournament more than I wanted it to. So, but I I will end. Oh, another thing. Also to your point, Madame Lizette, about Mako getting mad. I could see why they call her the final boss. Like, yeah, you are the one. She is the one you need to face and beat. You want any clout. Like, you're not going to be champion. You're not going to get any kudos whatsoever until you meet and beat her. So she's got to make it to the final. And anybody beats her, I'm like, maybe I'll give you a little bit of a chance. But like, it has to happen. And I'm going to end with Mercedes Martinez's own words in a tweet and you can find her at Real M Martinez. And she said, many win, many lose, but very few truly get to experience world-class competition. And at Satomura Mako is exactly that.
She's perfect. And like Michael Cole, I don't know if you noticed, right when they hit 3 and the match is over, Michael Cole puts out a hell yeah. He says it and like that let me know that he even was. I don't think I've ever heard him be that excited about a match. And like Beth and Renee, it was just the whole mood of it, and from beginning to end, and everyone's reaction from the crowd to both of them at the end, and they're just like sitting in the ring and just loving on each other and praising each other, and you know, and then Cole and Beth and Renee, and then the way that they feel about it and the way I felt about it, I was just like, this was perfect. We actually make a classic over. We don't need a champion. It's over. we don't need to wrestle no more.
That might have should have been the final match, like, because I don't know like who's going to top that at this point. Like, I don't know if you can, because it was just a perfect match. Like they were well suited for one another. And just everybody was into it from the beginning into the end, and just the mutual admiration that they had for one another at the end. Like they knew they tore it down. Like they knew they did a great job, and they knew that you know they just did that in front of a lot of people, more than they probably have in a long time. And I think that it was really exciting to see that. And so now it's like, who's gonna live up to that? And I just looked at the WWE Evolution card, and they need to be on the card. Like they need to figure out a way to get those two ladies to wrestle each other and get on the card, because right now I don't know if anybody's gonna put a show on like that. Okay, so they need to figure something out.
All right, so I have to, like, I think that Mako Satomura is going to be on the card, because I do believe that we're going to find out who wins the Mae Young Classic at Evolution. So I think that she's going to be on the card. I want to introduce you to Io Shirai. I'm going to she's a genius of the sky that she is. I think that she's the one that could put it on. Now, it's going to be interesting to me to see what they do, because when you have people like Mako Satomura, and I think that she could probably pull out a great match from anybody, even Alexa Bliss, that it's going to show up. It's going to really force the other women to step it up and get it together. Because it's like, why are they not in the WWE, doing this? So, I think it shows people the leagues and the levels that they are. And it's going to force them all to get it together. I did notice on this episode that this was the first time that they didn't have any established WWE stars in the ring. Like, oh, there's Tyler Breeze.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
And I wonder why that. I mean, in a way, I think that's good, because it's saying that, these women are stars. You know who they are, and you don't need to be distracted by anyone else. But in the same token, a lot of those people, and Beth said it, they need to be in the back taking notes. I did want the everybody in the back to kind of come out and clap. I mean, Triple H didn't have to present them with flowers, but just some fact that says, yeah, y'all did that. And it didn't happen. But I do agree. You got to have something like this on Evolution. And I do think Mako Satomura will be half of that equation.
I hope so. Because if not, then Io just going to be out there fighting somebody.
It better not be Toni Storm, Dawn.
Better be Toni Storm. It can be Toni Storm, or it can be Mia Yim. I've got two bullets in the chamber still for the final. So,
ish.
At this point, yeah, the only person I really, really want to see make it to the finals is Rhea and Io. Out of those two, if they don't make it, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know.
Well, we'll talk about next week's matchup, second round matchups. The aforementioned Io Shirai is facing off against Zeusis. We have Deonna Purrazzo going up against Xia Li. We have Tegan Knox facing off against Nicole Matthews. And Mia Yim goes up against Caitlyn. So, Miss Jupiter Julep, I'll let you start off with, I know Io is definitely going to be a highlight for you next week, but besides Io, who else are you looking forward to?
Yeah, y'all can call me Captain EO at this point. That's a hat tip to Michael Jackson. Let me, you know what? I think Nicole Matthews. I'm interested to see what she can do in round 2 because she was interesting. She was powerful, but she was boring. And then, I mean, it's an interesting and boring. That doesn't really match, but her match was okay. But thinking about her in the long term, she would probably be the person that I would fast forward in the future, or if I was short on time, I would not choose her match. But Mia Yim, I'm also interested in seeing what she would do against her competition. So yeah, I think those two. Yeah.
All right, Miss Madame Lizette, your preview for next week. Who are you looking forward to? Which match do you think will steal the show on next week's episode?
So, of course, I'm looking forward to Io. As you were going through all the people that are supposed to wrestle, I'm like, I'm not really looking forward to the rest of you guys. I guess because all the people that I enjoyed, like I am rooting for this show was on this episode 5. And so everyone else, I'm like, oh, I guess besides Io, who else am I looking forward to? I want to see Mia and Caitlyn just because I want to see Caitlyn in the ring again. It's been a really long time since she's wrestled in a WWE ring. So this will be the second time. And 4 or 5 years now. So I want to see what happens there and what story they're going to tell since they both kind of have similar, we've gone through a lot in our personal lives and dealt with possible, domestic violence issues. So what kind of story they're going to tell there? Deonna Purrazzo, just because she's Marty's girl. So I'm going to always want to see her. And Xia Li, because I like her. I don't think we got to see a lot of her in her first match against Karen Q. So I'm hopefully this match will be a little bit more wrestling and we'll get to see her improvement from last year to this year.
All right. I'm interested in seeing Tegan Knox again. I thought that she had a really strong performance in her first round match. So I'm looking to see if she can follow up against Nicole Matthews. And I'm really interested in the Deonna Purrazzo Xia Li match. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top to me in that match. I know that Deonna Purrazzo is a up and comer, in the Performance Center and in NXT. So it'll be very interesting to see which one of those ladies comes out on top between Deonna Purrazzo and Xia Li. So at this point, we're going to turn it over to
wait.
Yeah.
Miss V,
right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Oh, well,
hot tag, Miss V, hot tag.
I didn't know if since he doesn't have any familiarity, if she was really going to be into the next round.
Well, I watched this week, so I gotta watch next week.
Okay.
Done.
All right.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but back in the day, I lived in Japan for 3 years.
No.
So going into next week, I'm rooting for everybody Japanese. So okay. I am like that too. I'm excited about Miko and Io. Like I'm really excited about those matches. And I've actually seen Deonna wrestle a couple times too. So I think that match could actually be pretty cool and done really well. And then I'm also hoping that Mia Yim beats Toni Storm. So I want to see that match because I want Toni Storm to not be in the finals.
Why are you trying to cause heartache and all of this? Just that will be the match that we will get, and it will just tear me up for my rooting interest.
Well, pick better people, and then you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Well, I think Mia Yim's awesome. I think Toni Storm's better than y'all gave her credit for on this episode, but maybe she'll pick it up on the next week's episode and you guys will have glowing things to say about her performance next week in 2 weeks. So only time will tell. So at this point, we're going to turn it over to Miss V for her shout outs and thank yous.
Oh, wow. Well, shout out to you guys. I've been kind of a flake over the last couple of weeks and not being able to come on the show and or watch the classic. So thank you for letting me come on. And I will make sure to watch next week. So at some point I can come back and say hello to all you lovely people. So thank you guys.
Thank you for being able to join us. At this point, Miss Madam Lizette, your shout outs and thank yous.
Shout out to you guys as always for having me on. Shout out to my best friend because he always gets shout outs. And shout out to Miko and Mercedes for giving us probably the best match of the entire card.
All right. Miss Jupiter Julep, your shout outs and thank yous.
Oh, always the two of you and Miss V, thank you so much for joining us. Anwar Starwin, who is our fact checker supreme and like unofficial member or fifth member of our little crew here for this project. And let me see. He doesn't deserve it, but I'm going to give a shout out to kid number 5, who is a junior in high school, but he is graduating to full-time undergraduate work. So his school is one of those schools where you can get your high school diploma and your associate's degree at the same time. So he has moved on or matriculated to the point where he would just be doing year 1, year 2 associate's work. So I'm proud of him and shout out to him.
Go him.
No.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a shout out to Miss V for joining us today. Give a shout out to Jupiter Julep and Madam Lizette. Give a shout out to everybody who watches the Mae Young Classic and live tweets with the hashtag #ForeverYoungCast.
Yay!
Thanks to everybody who's listened to the podcast and interacted with myself, Madam Lizette, or Jupiter Julep. Continue to do so. It's been a really fun tournament so far, and I'm glad that we can dedicate some real time to this tournament this year and not have to try to, fit it into the WrestleCast proper, that we can dedicate a whole hour to it. So we'll be back next week with episode number 6 of the Forever Young Cast. So for our special guests, What Sleep Though, Miss Jupiter Julep, and Madam Lizette, I'm Don Delarente, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hi.
Yay.
All right, ladies.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
I have a question for you guys. Do you guys not look up where the brackets are and like who actually gets in the finals, or are you guys?
I don't.
So